Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Voices of the Millennials. I am your host, Elle Delion, aka LV Lion, and I make pretty dope art. And today I'm very, very excited to be on Love Bay Online Music Talk Radio. Music Talk Radio. And we are spinning the best hits in African Caribbean music 24 hours a day. We're streaming to 135 countries all around the world. And also, we are here live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and StreamYard. Hello, good night, peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome back to Voices of the Millennials. Tonight, we're having another elevated conversation with a full house. Okay, this is iconic. This is the first time that we are doing this. And it's really fitting because tonight it's all about breaking ground. You know, I always talk about breakdowns and breakthroughs. And I ask my guests, what is your biggest breakdown? How did it lead to your biggest breakthrough? And tonight I'm excited because we're going to be interviewing four artists, okay? Four visual artists from the African Caribbean community who are breaking ground in their art. And they are now going to be featured artists in a show that I'm very proud to be co curating with Madewell Productions and North Love Arts in Dawn on the Danforth. It's an exhibit that's going to be held over 12 hours on September 23rd to September 24th, okay? So it's a 12-hour exhibit. There's going to be multiple BIPOC artists exhibiting in this space. They're going to be showing us their art on in a market style. So that means that you can come in, you can look at the art and interact with the artist at their station. So, and also in addition to that, these artists, some of them will also be having live demonstrations of their art on stage in our food artisan marketplace. Yes, you heard it right. There is going to be food there. There's going to be food from BIPOC vendors as well. That means a lot of that food is going to be from the African Caribbean community. All right. Just want y'all to know that we're very, very excited to be doing this. And the theme of Nuit Blanche across Toronto. So across Toronto, there will be many exhibits, hundreds of exhibits that people can go see. But we're inviting you to come down to Dawn on the Danforth so that you can witness all of these BIPOC artists breaking ground. This is going to be the largest, I said it here first, exhibit of BIPOC artists in one space over the 12-hour period. So we are breaking ground just by having this exhibit in the first place. And above us will be a 12-hour music concert. So our whole entire space is going to be retrofitted for an artful a night. Okay, it's going to be artfully awesome. I'm going to keep going with the art puns because I'm such a big fan of art. If you didn't already know, that's why I go by Pretty Dope Art. That's my business where I just showcase pretty dope art and I help people tell their stories, bringing them from page to stage and script to screen. So it's all about media and film over there. So you can head over there to prettydope.art if you want to follow what I'm doing in the art world. We're going to be curating all of these interviews into one and really showcasing all of the artists that are breaking ground. And really, what my job is, I'm so grateful and thankful for this opportunity to be breaking ground with these artists, really breaking the news to the world that these artists exist, that they have amazing art, meaningful art, and art that I believe can change the world. I've had a great opportunity to work with all of the artists that we're going to be featuring tonight. It just so happens the universe aligns it this way, and I'm thankful. So I get the opportunity now to dive in deeper and also let all of you out there know about these artists. And that's what I'm most excited about. And I really have to shout out the radio station that you are now listening to online. That's Love Bay Music Talk Afrobeat Radio. And we are live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. All right. So we're just going to dive right into this because we have four guests tonight. And that means that we don't have a lot of time. You know how it goes. These conversations, they get elevated and we stay high, right? We want to make sure that we're in a high conscious mind. And so these artists are going to help us do that. And here, the first artist that's going to help us do that is Mr. 13. And I'm so excited about this one because it's actually September the 13th. And we have Mr. 13 in the building. How are you
Hello,
feeling?
hello everyone. I'm feeling really good. I'm super excited to be part of this and to be here. Yeah. So,
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for being here. The first thing that I want to do is for you to let the folks know what you do in the art world and how you got started doing that.
what I do in the art world, well, and how I got started. Well, for me, my one of my love languages is acts of service and gift giving. So of course, for me, I didn't have a lot growing up, but what I did have was creativity. What I did do was create, and I love to create. I love to create for people and make people smile. So that's kind of how I started, just making stuff, and just elevating from very young. What I do is live art, so weddings, events, different stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell where I come from and what I do now.
Okay. And you just mentioned there that art, it seems like from what you said, was a way for you to actually make it out of challenging situations. Is
Mhm.
that how you came to find art? Like, is there any mentors that helped you to discover this, or, any older people showed you the way?
Oh, of course. I would say my first really big mentor would be Kofi Frempeg.
Wow.
He would go to different housing corporations and do programs for the kids, and it was really powerful for me to see him be there because you don't really see black men following art as like a full time profession and career. A lot of the times people would say it's like, oh, you need like a real job or a real career or a real, vision future. And just looking at him doing what he was doing, really made it feasible.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, seeing another person of color in the field that you want to do is extremely important. So definitely want to make sure that I do give him a shout out for just making my dream a reality and
Hmm.
feasible for that. So definitely, I think that was a catalyst of me, you know, being a live artist and being a full time artist.
Mhm. Amazing. I love that, and I definitely know who you're talking about. Kofi's an amazing artist, and I agree. He's been around for years, really paving the path, making it smooth, and he
Mhm.
shares everything
Uh,
that he knows about art and how he made it and, got started. I
mhm.
heard actually that a little birdie told me that
Oh.
marketing genius, and you are the go-to now to market your art and what you want to do with
Mhm.
your visions and things like that. So, can you tell us a little bit about why they call you the marketing genius?
The marketing
Or
genius.
maybe that was my
Uh,
words. You know a little about marketing. Let us know how you dove into that as well.
um, growing up, not having a lot, I feel like it puts a lot of boundaries. It puts a lot of restrictions on people, and just living the life they really want. So for me, I wanted to make art that people could afford. I wanted to make art
Mhm.
that people could relate to as well. So I definitely made a way where people can, feel good in their own skin.
Yeah.
And as far as marketing would go, it's more so, um, just not trying to become more, in a sense of not trying to become bigger than anybody else. I see a lot of people try to separate themselves from the people, and
Hmm.
that's where they're just like, yeah, like I'm, this is what my money's worth, and it's like, but we all have two eyes, we all have one heart, we all have two hands, um, and so I just wanted to make sure that people felt like people, like they're it's okay to be at the stage that you're at, and just because we are where we are doesn't mean we shouldn't be able to enjoy the finer things in life.
Hmm.
So that's where my focus is, in making sure that everyone has art, because I believe everyone should have art, and everyone should have something that makes them feel amazing and just kind of looking at. Which is why I professionalize and I focus on doing portraits and self portraits and stuff like that, so people can see themselves in like a real light. Like I am art. And a lot of
Mm.
people like art is perfection, art is beautiful, art is all this different stuff, and it's just like, but that's you as well. So I think in that you can market somebody to themselves. That's pretty much what it
Yes,
is. Like I'm selling you,
I
and you
love
wouldn't want
it.
to buy yourself. Like you know your own worth. Like that's, and I think that's very important for a lot of people. So
That's a fantastic gem that was just dropped. Thank you, marketing genius. I think that's a genius move, like, and the explanation behind it.
mhm,
Yes, I definitely I hear why, the genius in that. You've just connected like two very common ideas, but then given this uncommonness of people really diving into wanting to see themselves as art. Like, and as you said,
mhm,
like you get to perfect all those things that you might not love, and you get to see yourself in a different view, and the way that you paint as well, it's not like exactly like me in this coloring. Like I love those black
mhm.
and whites that you do, throwing in those splashes of color, even the one
Mhm.
behind you right there.
Yes, yes,
um
yes.
yes, plug. And yes, I love, love, love your perspective on art. And I'd love for another friend to join us, another one of the artists that were
Mhm,
selected for this opportunity to exhibit their art. We want to bring in another friend. Amanda is joining us in the building, and we're going to be speaking with Joseph again. We're going to bring everyone back, but we want to bring in Amanda. And Amanda, hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me here. I'm honored.
Yes, I am honored to be with you as well. We met actually in a different capacity. We were both hosting a documentary together, a documentary screening. That was the first time that I met you. And I also had the opportunity after to discover that you're not only, you were discovering a passion there going up on stage, but you're also a cook and you also are a visual artist. So I
Yes.
love that you're multifaceted, and I'd love to know a little bit about how did you get started in these fields?
Okay. So, art wise, I loved art as a child. So, I always took art class, and anytime in high school it was an elective, I took it. But the thing with pursuing art outside of enjoying it in school, like 13 said, like people look down upon it and they, tell you it's not a real job. And I even considered going to an art school afterwards, but I'm like, well, I will literally be a starving artist. And I actually applied for fashion arts because I was really into fashion design. And then something clicked in my head, and I had that same train of thought where I was like, okay, I'm going to be a starving artist, and I took up culinary arts. So
Oh,
still
very
art,
yep.
but at least people will always be hungry. I will always have work, and I can always feed myself. So that was that train of thought. So I went down the culinary path. I loved every second of it. Worked in restaurants, I did hotel, and then even became self-employed. So I had my own business doing meal prep delivery.
Mhm.
So what I did is I took like the white plate, and I'm like, how can I make delicious white plate worthy food, everyday meals that people can eat? That was my train of thought, and that's how I created art in everyday meals people could eat.
That
In terms of visual art, I recently stopped my business about 8 months ago, and that was a very hard decision to make.
mhm.
And going back to what I enjoyed as a child, because I was in this space where I was like, okay, I don't feel well.
Mm.
So I need to find hobbies. Like, what did I used to enjoy doing? And it was like drawing, coloring. So I just started playing around. I didn't have like professional materials and I didn't have a lot of money. So I went to Dollarama and I got some canvases and some paint.
I
And I
love
was
that.
like, and it felt good and it just flowed and I just kept going. And I remember seeing a call for artists to present their art at a show. It was by Michael Design Your Soul. So I was like, okay, well, I should just apply. If they say no, then they say no. And it said, yeah, bring your art. And then I was like, oh my God, now I actually have to create stuff. I'm like, but you said yes. And then when I met him in person, it was like, honestly, asking is just half the battle. A lot of people don't just ask or apply for stuff. So I just started doing that. And here I am, figuring out life and creating as I go.
I love the story because you took a big chance on yourself in every step of the way. I just hear that, you really believe in yourself and you take those chances and you see if if what you're thinking in your head pans out. Seems like most of the time it does. So I'm just so happy that you took that chance on yourself. I'm so excited to see your art on the 23rd. And I'm going to bring in one of our other friends who's going to be here. And then you'll be coming back and joining us for the bigger conversation about breakdowns and breakthroughs. So remember your breakdown and breakthrough from when we bring you back.
Okay.
All right. Blessings. We're going to bring in our next friend, Kanisha. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Bless, bless, bless. So happy to have you here. And I also had the opportunity to work with you before this opportunity with Nuit Blanche. You were an artist that was featured in a show that we did with Transcendence, which was where we brought a social gathering in with an art exhibit. So where people are usually just partying, we brought in this whole art exhibit and they were awestruck by, especially, I must admit, a lot of people asked me about your art in particular. I remember
Mhm.
that night. And so I'd love to know, how did you get started on your visual art journey?
So I would say my visual arts journey started a long time ago. I've always been drawing. I started in like grade 8. I remember my teacher, Miss Bosco, that taught me how to sketch, and I've always loved it since then. But I never, like 13 and Amanda, I didn't take it seriously. So I would just do it as like a side course in university just to get an easy A, or just not, it's not an option because you can't make money, you can't sustain yourself or be successful as an artist. So I pushed it aside as long as possible. Went into the workforce, took it very seriously, but hated every single day. And that's when I was like, this is not for me. If I'm not doing something from 9 to 5 that I love, what am I doing with my life, essentially? So that's when I made the switch over to art and actually, putting effort into it and seeing what could come out of it. There was 13 who mentioned Kofi Frempong. He was definitely the Kickstarter to me, like actually being like, this is possible. Like he very much pushed me to believe in there's a route in the art world for me to go. So that's kind of how I got there.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're going to learn more about you, especially on your biggest breakdown and how it led to your biggest breakthrough. I know you have a story for us.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait. We're going to bring in our last guest who's going to be joining us. This is Samantha Dennis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Blessed, blessed, especially seeing your face. I'm so glad that you were able to join us and be a part of one of the artists for this Nuit Blanche exhibit. I love every single artist, but your paintings are still in my mind. They're still in my mind. I'm just deciding where on my wall I can fit something. Because I really love the series that you do. Like, I need like the whole thing. So Samantha is an artist that I had the opportunity to work with last year at Blackman Style Black Frames Art Exhibit Volume 1. It was our first time doing it. And you were one of the artists that was, spoken about again and again. So I'd love to know, how did you get started in your artist journey?
So I've always been drawing since I was a little kid. I know in most Caribbean households, there's photo albums. So I used to take pictures from photo albums and I would always be sketching. And then when I'd sketch, my dad would be like, no, no, like you need to work on this and you need to work on that. And so in the early days, like he really pushed me and I could really see that I had like an art thing. And then so uh around the age of 10 to 17, I had like a really big illness and art really helped me get through. Like when I would be in the hospital, I'd always be drawing. The nurses would always come see what I'm drawing. They want to see what I have on my IV pole, what is in my room. And so I really I really like held on to art, a lot when I was sick. And so when I got better, um, it was between being a nurse or being an artist. And I was like, I could take this nurse path and kind of struggle through it. And then it's weird because at that time I didn't think if I took the art path that I would struggle through it too.
Mm.
And I ended up applying to OCAD and like studying at OCAD and getting a minor in social sciences and wanting to be an art therapist and then also doing events. And then, I stopped painting for like maybe close to 5 years.
Wow.
And I just felt miserable. Like I was working these jobs. And I remember even a comment I've heard people say it. I think it was oh my gosh, I don't think it was Kanisha, but one of the other artists was talking about like being a starving artist. And I've had somebody say that to me. They're like, oh, you're going to be a starving artist. And obviously, that's something that I didn't want. And so I just tried to do these regular jobs, but it's this miserable feeling. You just feel like you're unfulfilled. You have this constant like thing on your back that's like, you're not supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to be here. And so I guess randomly one year I just started painting again. And then through the process, like I've met people, which everybody has mentioned before, but like as well, Kofi was like a huge person in my journey that really pushed me along the way and showed me, little lucrative things that you can do as an artist to, make money. And I think you know that's just been my journey, and from since then I know that a lot of things have happened like through COVID that has really catapulted and gotten the chance to showcase in some big venues. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Huge. I love it. What a story. What a story. I know there's some, things that broke down, but you broke through because you are here breaking ground. So
Yeah.
I know, and this is that time for us to spill the tea because we have some time. And we're going to bring in all the friends now that you just had an opportunity to meet. And I want to shout out TYB in the back, who's our station manager and producer and makes all this magic stuff happen on screen right now. So yes, all the friends are here. Thank you all so much for joining us. So I love that all of you were tying in parts of each other's stories and that you could totally relate to what each other was feeling or saying or thinking. And I also realized one thing before we get started is that we need to get Kofi on the show. He is a huge reason why all of us are still doing what we're doing. I would also shout out Kofi, like seeing him being an artist, like unapologetically, always
Mm.
doing his art so diligently. I really do believe that that example did help all of us to be here today. Even Amanda, if you don't know Kofi yet, we'll
Oh, I
introduce.
know.
Oh, you know
Oh,
Kofi.
you're okay. Okay.
You're all inspired. And now you are going to be amongst the new generation of artists. I hope you know, no pressure, that is inspiring those young people, those young ones that look like us. They're waiting to see someone who's doing what you're doing and succeeding at it, or even pushing through every breakdown. So let's get started. on some breakdowns, because these are the stories I believe that help to inspire people to keep going when they think that they don't have anywhere else to go. My mentor told me rock bottom is the best place to launch from. So I've been utilizing that in my own life, and I'd love to hear. Let's go with Amanda. I'm just
Yes,
making random
that's okay.
alphabetical order.
It's funny you actually mention inspiring future generations, because when I with my business, my logo was literally a picture of me holding a dumbbell and a plate, and I wanted it to be a brown girl like me so that other brown children could see that they could start a business. And that's what I wanted for the logo. Like, yes, it's cool to have a picture of yourself as a logo, but like that was the future vision. And then when I decided to start my business, my heart broke a little, because I was like, no, I had something tied to this. And then one day, I hung up one of my paintings, and my son was like, "Mommy, painting, mommy, painting." And so I was like, "Oh, so he still sees me in something else I created. It didn't have to have an image of me on it." So that was very powerful that you said that, because that's what I want, to still inspire somehow with what I create.
I love that. I love that. And for you, Amanda, would you say that your business closing, your decision to do that would that be your biggest breakdown right now? That
Um, Absolutely, absolutely. Because that was like my bread and butter, and that's what I thought was like end goal. Like that's what I was doing, and then to now be in a place where I didn't know what was happening. It was this time last year where everyone's going back to school or work or starting new things. I'd met some friends on maternity leave that were going back to work, and I was just like standing still. Everyone's like, "How are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I have no clue. I have no I
Mm.
have no idea what tomorrow holds or where I'm going from here." And I just realized earlier today that like a year ago, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was within completely stopping and finding that rock bottom and taking some deep breaths and going back to what I once knew is what helped me come out of it. And that was drawing and coloring.
Yes, honestly, like I have so many stories about me and coloring, like that brought me through. So I know, honestly, I shout out to art, truly saved my life. I'm so glad that you also found your joy again in art, and that you recognize that you are still of so much value, and that people will see you through your art. I'm really excited. I'm so excited to see Amanda's art, because I don't think out of everyone here, I haven't
Yeah.
taken in Amanda's the most like in person. So I have to say I'm the most excited today to see your art in person.
Yeah. It's still like vulnerable, like, other people are gonna see it.
Yes, yes. But I'm sure all these other artists here definitely can
sure.
relate. And so I'd love to hear from Kanisha. What is your biggest breakdown? How did it lead to your breakthrough? Feel free to, I love how you all are drawing experiences from each other. So we'll keep it going.
Okay. So I mentioned it a little bit in our intro, but I kind of lived life doing what I was supposed to do. I did the university thing, got a proper job after, put art aside. Just art, you're not a real option, even though that's what I knew deep down that would bring me the most joy. Um, so I was working in the company, I'm not going to name names, for over a year. I loved my employees. I loved the job. I was good at it. Everything, I checked all the boxes that you would think you need to check. But I was constantly sick. I was sick. I was drained. I wasn't happy. I went into depression, all of the things. And it wasn't until I got into a depression, like lost a lot of my friends because it wasn't me anymore, that I was like, there's something wrong. I'm not living my authentically, like what makes me happy. I'm living based off of what I should do, or the opinions of people around me who want the best for me, but who don't know what I need. And that was kind of the switch where I was like, I have to make decisions for myself, like live for myself. What really would uplift me, what would inspire me, and not being selfish in that way, because all my artwork I speak about community and like people living on themselves and all that. But I had to really make that switch and see what was important to me so that I can start living my life in a really good way. And that's what led me to art, because I've always loved art from since I was a kid. I love drawing people. I'm drawn to community and faces and smiles and the wrinkles on your face that show your life. That's what inspires me for my artwork. And like, I do art from the time I wake up until I go to bed, and I don't feel like I'm working. I love it. So I feel like now I'm going in the path that is, good for me. Yeah.
I love that. That is beautiful. And it's just so interesting that, these really hard things, because going through depression, mental health issues, especially around people who they're probably just wanting you, as you said, the best for you, wanting
Yeah.
you to be happy and stable. So, they're pushing you towards these things that are supposedly happy and stable. And it's interesting that the thing that looks unstable is the thing that brought you joy, and you found stability in.
Yes.
So I just want to reiterate that for the people at home
Yeah.
listening, like, it's possible. All right. We're going to talk to another artist who can also tell us how possible it is. So 13, let us know about your big breakdown. How did it lead to a breakthrough for you?
Oh, breakdown. So for me, it was more so personal. There's a
Mhm.
personal that ended up into my professional full time. So during COVID, a lot of things were kind of happening. Everyone was not so much losing their job, but no one was at work. Everyone had to stay away from each other and all that type of stuff. So what ended up happening was I ended up losing my core friendship group.
Mm.
And I usually just keep a really tight circle. And so like when I lost this core group, I had kind of nobody there. So I went into like a really deep depression. Um, and that's when I first wanted to start a program to help kids reach their dreams. And they were my core group that was supposed to help me make that program and develop that organization and stuff like that. So when they kind of disappeared, um, it really threw me um, threw me down. And like you said, the best way to launch off is from rock bottom. So
Mhm.
from there, it was kind of like I have to do this. Like it's something in me told me like I have to do this, regardless if you're doing it alone. So I just ended up doing it, forcing myself to do it, and started making amazing friends, started making new connections. And then I just kind of realized where in a situation where I was like, oh, I had to lose those friends and able to be where I am because they were the type of friends that weren't motivated to be better or weren't motivated or didn't want to even go the same route as me or be on the same level as me and that type of stuff. So that breakdown was definitely more of a breakthrough. And I'm definitely very, very religious, and I believe in my God and my um, all of that. So like they say, God has a plan for you. Just trust in Him, and that's also where not where I found God, but where I started like what I need to find a new trust in Him and in doing that. Um, so with that again, that's where I started doing my art because I didn't want to be so much of a hypocrite to the youth that I'm now doing this program for. It's like you can be whatever you want to be, but I also work in a job that I don't want to do. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Talk about it.
So just like, listen, I gotta do art, I gotta make it work, and then be able to bring these kids is like, hey, if you want to be, a firefighter, find a firefighter, and then ask all the right questions. And that's the program that I really wanted to start, which I will sooner than later. Just kind of start and just get everyone a mentor. Like Kofi was a mentor to most of us.
Mhm.
And as everyone knows, you ask Kofi any question, he's getting to you within 24 hours. He's giving you all the options, all the connects.
Mhm.
So I just really wanted that for a lot of our kids, just to meet the trailblazers and stuff like that. So they don't have to, do it themselves and meet all those hardships that we actually really don't have to do anymore. So yeah, that's my breakdown to a serious breakthrough.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's amazing what you are able to do. And I really love what you said about the fact that actually being a mentor and being a role model or working with children or youth,
Mm,
honestly, it will change your perspective. If you raise kids, if you have the
Mhm.
opportunity, if you have the like blessing to be able to do that, I would take that opportunity because I would say also for me, I had talked about my biggest breakdown and breakthrough, and it was when I
mm,
was, kind of thrown into being a full-time mom after saying like, I'm going to be a single independent woman and I'm not having any kids and I'm being modern. And then my family needed me and I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. And but it
mm,
has led me to where I am right now. I wouldn't be here. I don't think I would have pursued art if it wasn't for the fact that I chose to stay home and be a housewife kind of thing. Like, I got to try that out and I saw that while I wouldn't like choose that for myself, what I would choose is like the freedom that I had, like not going into work every day and not like going to school and trying to get A's for to be a doctor. And I don't even know why I really wanted to do that. I think I just wanted
mhm,
to make my parents proud. And I don't think that would have made
mhm.
me happy. I feel very happy having the opportunity to be a starving artist, if you will. Like it's a way where you show them how you can make money doing art. There is a way.
Mm,
And another
mhm. Sure.
person that has definitely been able to do that, last but not least, Samantha, please let us know about your biggest breakdown. How did it lead to a breakthrough?
Um, I'll say that I really relate to everyone else, and it's crazy because when a lot of times you think that you're going through this thing alone, and then you hear other people talk about their journey, and it's like, oh, well, I wasn't drowning alone. And so I can really relate to pieces of Amanda's story where it was like everybody was knew what they were doing, and then it's like you just kind of you're like, where am I going? You know what I mean? And then there's pieces of Kanisha's story where it's like you have friends that are like pushing you to do this full like do a full-time job that'll feed your passion. And then like I often get into this cycle where it's like when I'm in the full-time job that ends up eating up all my energy, and when I get home I don't want to create, I don't want to do anything, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I'm in this cycle again where it's like I'm just working to work. I'm not happy. I go to work and they're like, "Why do you look like that?" Why? Well, I don't want to be here, so that's why I look like that. You know what I mean? And it's like I know that, and like what 13 is saying, it's like when there's this saying that to whom much is given, much is required. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And a
mm,
lot of us creatives, like the gift that we have, a lot of people are not like us. I used to have a roommate that used to call me a genius. You know what I mean? Because it's just like we can just think of something in our mind, and the way that we're able to translate it is just it's weird.
mm,
Like
Yeah.
it's beyond weird. And so I think for me, like one of my biggest breakdowns was this year, actually earlier this year. Like I was drowning, like I was gonna quit. I actually reached out to a mentor. I don't know if anybody knows him, Benny Bing.
Oh,
oh,
Yes.
Benny, hello, Benny.
cool.
And so it was random because a couple of years ago he saw one of my paintings and he reached out to me. He's like, I have to meet you, blah blah blah. He's like, keep in touch, and I'm horrible at that type of stuff. And so it was just so weird that when I was really drowning, he was the person that I reached out to. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I can't get my work in any galleries. I'm having a hard time being represented, and I don't really know if this art thing is gonna take me where I want to be. And um, I left him a voice note, and he didn't respond to it. And then 2 days later or a day later, he called me. He's like, I couldn't respond to this voice note with just a voice note. He's like, you are out of your mind if you think you're gonna quit. He's like, you know what? I am going to mentor you and I'm gonna help you because I feel like, sometimes we need that person in our life that's just gonna help us. Like, and intentionally give their time and their effort. And so it was so weird because he talked to me and he's like, one of the things he said to me is like, you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And then
Ooh,
and
that's
then
ready.
within a few days, I was like going to a birthday breakfast and he calls me and he's just like, hey, like, do you know how to live paint? And I was just like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I'll call you back. Calls me back. He's like, I have this exciting opportunity for you. He's like, I know it's not my strength. So I knew someone perfect for this opportunity. He's like, oh, it's to live paint for the Raptors. And I
Cool.
was like,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
I was like, what? You see, within like, I would say within an hour, I talked to the Raptors rep. She's like, we've seen your work. You're amazing. We're excited to have you. Within 2 days, I was painting in front of there was like 3 artists and I was painting in front of the Raptors. What I mean, before I went, I was like shaking. I was shaking because I'm like, in front of the Raptors? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I don't know if I can actually do this. You see, when I started painting, the Raptors player that I was painting OG, he was stuck on me the entire time. He's like, I want this painting. I want this painting. Can you give it to me? And I was like, no, I can't give it to you. He's like, why? And I had to be like, don't worry. I ended up getting a commission from him after, but like,
Thank gosh.
that's just to show like
No.
in the moment when I thought I was gonna quit, it's like God really just surprised me, and it was like I was drowning and I reached out for that help, and so I think for me that was like my biggest thing this year that like was a breakthrough for me. So yeah, that was mine.
Certified.
Yeah,
Certified.
honestly, wow.
That's amazing.
Love. Oh my goodness, all of these stories. Yeah, I just had to like take a deep breath because I felt
Yeah.
like so emotional for all of you, like being able to overcome these huge challenges. And I guess it just made me think I'm a big dreamer. So when people say like these ideas, like I'm even going further. I'm like, oh my God, Raptors. I'm like, that means NBA, girl. That means like I can't wait,
Yes.
girl. Like
Let's go.
Claim it, we claim it.
Claim
just
it.
seeing like all of your art being in these huge spaces, and I'm just so glad we have this in documentation. This is your like virtual
Yeah.
signature because
It is.
soon I will not be able to get a hold of these people. Manifest that. I really am so grateful also that you all took the time to come here today and make sure that your faces are seen, your voices are heard, because I promise there's somebody in one of these 135 countries or where we're streaming to right here on Love Bay Radio that is thinking, wow, maybe I can do this. And I really love that it seems like everyone, when you got to that rock bottom place, you also thought of something that you could do to help yourself, whether that was reaching out to someone, returning to something that you knew you already loved, working on an idea that you were passionate about at one time and realized, hey, maybe if I throw my energy into this, I can shift things around, or recognizing that, you know, even though you really put all your energy, I'm like that too. I'm a very narrow focused person sometimes. Like I've seen it this way. It has to come true this way. And if one thing is off, then like it's all off. But recognizing that in that there's actually so much beautifulness like that you can find, like you can actually find beauty in the disaster. So I'm really excited to be able to have this opportunity to speak to you. And I thought that before we end off today's show, I already heard some gems being dropped. Like you all dropped gems from your mentors or things that you've heard that really helped to push you through. So I'd love if we all end off on what is your biggest gem that you were dropped. And actually, before we get to that, because we have to at least talk about the show that we're all in together. So Nuit Blanche, I'd love to, while you tell us about your biggest gem, tell us about also one thing that you're really excited about that you're going to be exhibiting at the show. So if you know what you're already exhibiting, at least one piece that you're really excited about, or some of you are doing live demos, you can let us know if you have any hints about what's going to be happening. And definitely let us know what's the biggest gem that someone dropped to you and helped you to be here today. We are going to start off with Samantha.
I think it was what I just said. There was two things I said that even reconfirmed. Like I just came from a vacation where like I was able to even like reset, and a lot of the people that I was running into kept saying like, you're supposed to be doing this, you know? And one of the people in particular, the quote that I always have on my heart is, to whom much is given, much is required. And then what Benny said to me was, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I think for me, like those are the two things that I've just been like meditating on for these past few days. And I think for me, one of my pieces that I'm really in love with right now is Love Yours. And my work, this body of work is really about male vulnerability and how we build up those how we even as people build up these things within ourselves. And so we have to kind of break down those barriers, and so that's what my work is thinking about. Did I answer all the questions?
You definitely did. You did amazing. And I'm so excited. I love that. That's like the piece that I hope to, well, the pieces that I hope to own one day. Like I love that.
You will.
It is so beautiful. Excited for others to see it. It is amazing. It is amazing. And thank you so much, Samantha, for, dropping those gems. That was amazing and such an inspiring story.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to 13. Let us know some gems that was dropped and what you're excited to show and do at Breaking Ground Nuit Blanche this year.
All right. Gems. I would say my first gem would be for any artist to have something that's $1 to something that's $10,000. So everyone that comes in, they're grabbing something. So that's definitely something that I was told, and I was like, that makes sense. And the next one is to always design, or not always design, always make something and paint something with your heart. And to make sure that if you're doing like a commission, to make sure that it's made for a lifetime and not just a moment. Especially doing commissions, we get a lot of people that come in and order things, and you're just like, you're only going to want that for 3 years, and then you're not going to want it no more. I'm not painting it. Doesn't matter about the money. It's a matter about your pride. Have pride in your work, and make sure you work with that client, and to make sure that that piece can and will last forever. And for the last question is a piece that I am exhibiting at Nuit Blanche, which would be the one right behind me. Yeah. It's called Sapphire Midnight. This piece is one of my favorite pieces, one of my last pieces. And in the back, I'm not sure if you can see it, but if you can't see it, that means you need to go to Nuit Blanche, so it doesn't matter.
What he said.
But in the background, there are letters, and it actually has a word search in it. So it says Sapphire Midnight, but in the word search, it has words that describe her. So it has like hot, it has dark, it has bold, it has all these different words. And there's actually 13 words that describe her in the background. I always try to put a little Easter egg in it. But yeah, this is one of the pieces that I really put a lot of work into, put all the different techniques I learned. It has 3D letters, it has glitter, it has color, black and white. I'm going to put resin on it. So it's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe. So I'm really happy to showcase. I haven't even posted it yet. So I'm really happy to showcase.
I've been eyeing it this whole time.
I know. Mesmerized. Oh, thank you. Okay. Amazing. I can't wait to do the
like this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you so much, 13. We can't wait to see you live in person with your art at Nuit Blanche. And if you want to do the word search and see this magnificence in person, you're going to have to come to the show. So now we're going to move on to Amanda. I don't know if my fingers are, oh yeah.
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 So Amanda, let us know about your biggest gem and then also what you're excited to show at the show.
Okay. My biggest gem. So I used to always ask myself, what do I have to lose? The answer was always nothing. And that's how I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I don't know when I started coming up with things that I could lose, but that's kind of when I went like this.
Mm.
And then so now I've just been building back that muscle of like daring myself. And that's why I keep doing things that scare me. So if it feels scary, even like broadcasting this to my LinkedIn, at first I wasn't going to, then I was like, let me do it anyways because it's scary. So I'm going to do it. So I did it. And now I didn't die. So I'm
Yeah.
here
Oh,
still. And a gem I learned from another artist, Vino, is to pull from source. So create, don't force. It's great to have a discipline, but pull from source. Like let that be your guidance when you create. So that's one thing that stuck out to me. And a piece that I'm excited to share kind of goes along with what Samantha said. I have this piece called Chameleon. It's a black man standing with a chameleon on his shoulder, and he has like a flower behind him. And it's we are like chameleons. Like we're always shape shifting at work, at home, with our friends. We just shape shift. So I think that's a piece that would speak to many people.
Beautiful. I cannot wait to see it in person. Thank you so much, Amanda. And Kanisha, let us know your gems and what you're excited to exhibit.
Okay, so the first gem I would say is actually one of the concepts for the artwork that would be displayed there. So it's called Ubuntu Bent Not Broken, and the concept is pretty much um, it's centered around humanity, and it actually translates to I am because we are. So just like really realizing that, I mean, all of the artists here today said it, that they've been connected with Kofi, for example, and like we are all feeling like we're alone, but we all were going through the same exact experience. So just recognizing um, the impact that community can play on you and what you can play onto the community and the next generation that's coming. So um, I just, yeah, that's what I think. Just think about community and how you can incorporate what your gifts into that. Um, so that's one. And the second one, I guess, is more business related, is work on your business and in your business. I think as artists, we work a lot in our business, which means just creating the artwork, but you also have to work on your business, doing the marketing, making those connections, focusing on pricing and how to, all of the business side that I think most artists don't really know about. I didn't learn that in art school. So that was a huge thing that I had to learn when I was really going for it. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Beautiful. And what are you, is that
Oh,
you told us the piece, right?
yeah, so the piece that I'll be showing is called Ubuntu Bent Not Broken. Um, yeah, and it's a gold piece with a male and a female, and it's just, showing two individuals in all their greatness, honestly.
Oh, that is one of, I know the piece. It's
Yes.
amazing. It was a showstopper. All of these pieces, y'all have to come out to the show. And right now, we're all done. That's it. That's all you get to hear from these artists for now. On September 23rd, you can meet them in person. And I want to thank Samantha, Kanisha, Amanda, and 13 for being here on September the 13th on Voices of the Millennials with me, your host, Lyon. We're going to say goodbye to all of our friends and good night. Peace and blessings. I'm going to see you all on the 23rd and in your emails for the next week and a half.
Thank
You
you.
will love. Thank you so much for being here. And we will be back next time on Voices of the Millennials next Wednesday at 7 p.m. You already know what it is. It's another elevated conversation. We're going to be talking with another set of Nuit Blanche artists that are going to be exhibiting. They're going to be talking about their breakdowns and breakthroughs. And as you know, it's always elevated. It's always inspiring. Thank you all for being here tonight. Peace and blessings, y'all. See you next time.